One morning, Henry was feeling very sorry for himself. Sometimes he could pull trains, but sometimes he felt he had no strength at all. I suffered dreadfully, and no one cares. Rubbish, Henry, snorted James. You don't work hard enough. The Fat Controller spoke to him too. You're too expensive, Henry. You had lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you. This made Henry, his driver, and his fireman very sad. The Fat Controller was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls. Henry managed to start, but his fireman was not satisfied. Henry is a bad steamer, he said to the Fat Controller. I build up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat. Henry tried very hard, but it was no good. He didn't have enough steam and came to a stop outside Edward's station. Oh dear, thought Henry, I shall have to go away. Oh dear, oh dear. All he could do was to go slowly onto a siding, and Edward took charge of the train. The Fat Controller and fireman went on discussing Henry's troubles. What do you think is wrong, fireman? Asked the Fat Controller. Excuse me, sir, he answered, but the fact is the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines can manage, they have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine. It's expensive, said the Fat Controller, but Henry must have a fair chance. James shall go and fetch some. When the Welsh coal came, Henry's driver and fireman were excited. Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow. They carefully made his fire, putting large lumps of coal like a wall round the outside. Then the glowing middle part was covered with smaller lumps. You're spoiling my fire, complained Henry. Wait and see, said the fireman. We'll have a roaring fire. Just when we want it. The fireman was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had to let off steam. How are you, Henry? Peep, peep, whistled Henry. I feel fine. Have you a good fire, driver? Never better, sir, and plenty of steam. No record breaking, warned the Fat Controller. Don't push him too hard. Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back. Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life. He wanted to go fast, but his driver wouldn't let him. Steady, old fellow, he would say. There's plenty of time. They arrived early at the station. Thomas puffed in. Where have you been, lazybones? Asked Henry. Oh, I can't wait for dawdling tank engines like you. Goodbye. Whoosh, said Thomas to Annie and Clarabel. Have you ever seen anything like it? Both Annie and Clarabel agreed that they never had. One winter evening, Henry's driver said, we'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the flying kipper. Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the kipper nicely, the Fat Controller will let us pull the express. The special coal they gave you is working well. Hurrah! Cried Henry. That will be lovely. All kinds of ships use the harbour at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, Cargo ships and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading the vans with crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp. The Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the vans. The vans shuddered and groaned, trock, trick, all right. That is better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. Hurry, panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal light shone green as they passed. Then a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the points from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A goods train was waiting in the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the brake van. The Kipper is due, said the guard. Who cares, said the fireman. This is good cocoa. The driver got up. Come on, fireman, back to our engine. They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. The fat controller came to see him. The signal was down, sir, said Henry. Cheer up, Henry, it wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice? Yes, sir, said Henry doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. Peep, peep, he whistled. Thank you very much. I am sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story. Gordon was cross. Why should Henry have a new shape, he grumbled. A shape good enough for me is good enough for him. He goes gallivanting off to Crewe, leaving us to do his work, and comes back saying how happy he feels. It's disgraceful. And there's another thing. Henry whistles too much. No respectable engine ever whistles loudly at stations. It isn't wrong, but we just don't do it. Poor Henry didn't feel happy anymore. Never mind, whispered Percy. I'm glad you're home again. I like your whistling. Goodbye, Henry, called Gordon. We're glad to have you with us again, but remember what I said. Later, Henry stopped at Edward's station. Hello, Henry, said Edward. You look splendid. I was pleased to hear your happy whistle yesterday. Thank you, Edward, smiled Henry. Can you hear something?" "It sounds like Gordon," said Edward, "and it ought to be Gordon. But Gordon never whistles like that." It was Gordon. He came rushing down the hill at a tremendous rate. He didn't look at Henry, and he didn't look at Edward. He screamed straight through the station and disappeared. "Well," said Edward. "It isn't wrong," chuckled Henry, "but we just don't do it." And he told Edward what Gordon had said. Meanwhile, Gordon screeched along the line. The noise was awful. At the station, everyone held their ears. The Fat Controller held his ears too. "Take him away," he bellowed, "and stop that noise." Gordon puffed sadly away, but he wouldn't stop whistling until two fitters climbed up and knocked his whistle valve in place. That night, Gordon slunk into the shed. He was glad it was empty. "It isn't wrong," murmured Henry to no one in particular, "but we just don't do it." No one mentioned whistles.
It was a cold winter's morning on the island of Sodor. The wind was bitter and the ground hard with frost. Thomas and Percy were cold and cross. "All I want is a warm boiler," huffed Thomas. "Firelighter knows that. He's late." "He's not late," replied Percy. "This cold weather woke us up early." Gusts of wind swirled flakes of snow towards Thomas. Then they swooshed round Percy too. "Why don't we talk about something else?" shivered Percy. "Yes, like how silly we look when our funnels turn into icicles." "That's not funny." "Maybe we'll stop feeling cold if we talk about warm things like sunshine and steam." "And firelighters," muttered Thomas. "Scarves," continued Percy. "Scarves? That's what you need, Percy. A woolly scarf round your funnel." Thomas was only teasing, but Percy thought happily about scarves until the firelighter came. The Fat Controller was enjoying hot porridge for breakfast. He was looking forward to taking important visitors on a tour of the railway and had pressed his special trousers. "I shall put them in my trunk and change into them just before the photographs are taken," he said to his wife. Then he set off to catch his train. Percy was now working hard. His fire was burning nicely and he had plenty of steam. But he still thought about scarves. He saw them everywhere he went. "My funnel's cold," he puffed. "I want a scarf, I want a scarf." "Rubbish, Percy," said Henry. "Engines don't wear scarves." "Engines with proper funnels do," replied Percy. "You've only got a small one." Before Henry could answer, Percy puffed away. Henry snorted. He was looking forward to pulling the special train. It was time for the photographs. Everyone was excited. The Fat Controller was waiting on the platform for his trousers. They were in a trunk amongst a big load of baggage. The porters were taking the baggage trolley across the line. They were walking backwards to see that nothing fell off. Percy was still being cheeky. His driver always shut off steam just outside the station. Percy wanted to surprise the coaches by coming in as quietly as he could. But the porters didn't hear him either. Boxes and bags burst everywhere. "Oh!" groaned Percy. Sticky streams of jam trickled down Percy's face. A top hat hung on his lamp iron. Worst of all, a pair of trousers coiled lovingly round his funnel. Everyone was very angry. The Fat Controller seized the top hat. "Mine," he said. "Percy, look at this." "Yes, sir, I am, sir." My best trousers, too.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
We must pay the passengers for their spoiled clothes, and my trousers are ruined. I hope this will teach you not to play tricks with the coaches.
Percy went off to the yard. He felt very silly. On the way, he met James.
Hello, Percy. So you found a scarf, eh? But legs go in trousers, not funnels.
And he puffed away to tell Henry the news. That evening, Thomas and Percy were resting in the shed. Percy's driver had taken away the trousers and given Percy a good rub down. "Firelighters promised to come early tomorrow," said Thomas. Henry arrived. He'd enjoyed taking the visitors around, and now he felt sorry for Percy too.
Driver says the weather will be warmer tomorrow. You won't need a scarf, Percy.
"Certainly not," replied Percy. "Engines don't need scarves. Engines need warm boilers. Everyone knows that."
Henry was enjoying himself enormously. I feel so well, he sang. Trickety-trot, hummed his coaches. Then he saw some boys on a bridge. Peep, peep, hello, he whistled. "Oh!" he called. The boys didn't wave and take his number. They thought it fun to drop stones on him instead. "They've broken our glass! They've broken our glass!" sobbed the coaches. The passengers weren't hurt, but they were cross. "Call the police!" "No," said the driver. "Leave it to Henry and me." "What will you do?" they asked. "Can you keep a secret?" Yes. "Well then," said the driver, "Henry is going to sneeze at those boys." Lots of people were waiting at the station just before the bridge. They wanted to see what would happen. "Henry has plenty of ashes," said the driver. "Please keep all windows shut till we have passed the bridge. Henry is as excited as we are, aren't you, old fellow?" Henry was feeling stuffed up. Soon they could see the boys, and they all had stones. "Are you ready, Henry?" said his driver. "Sneeze hard when I tell you." "Now," he said. "Achoo-shoo!" "Well done, Henry," laughed his driver. Henry went home very pleased with himself. He had taught Gordon and silly boys a lesson with a whistle and a sneeze.